So thank you everyone for joining. In fact, we were discussing a little bit about some of the parking lot items. Uh, Manas had a good discussion point started. So the fact about the change, and if we have some requirements coming in between from the client side, where the budgets were initially fixed and now client is looking for changes, how do we manage that one? So that was one discussion. And so I think when we are discussing on the parking lot discussion time, that time it will be a good time to discuss, or maybe we can talk further with the bigger group. Sorry. So we started talking about agile when it started, and basically the history little bit, right? Uh,
Yep.
so I'm getting a little bit distracted because a lot of people joining. I have to admit them. Uh,
Right, right.
my daughter is also helping me on that one. So agile. So 2001. Bunch of people with the similar mindset. They went to Utah and they were in someone's garage, and they started discussing about how we can make improvement into this process, because the way traditional development process was challenging, and a lot of projects are getting failure and all those things. So they started talking about how we can bring something to the world, so that people can utilize that process and get some value. So they came up with those core values and 12 principles that they felt that is going to work. And so far, uh, what we have seen, those core values and 12 principles, although they are very much focused towards IT side, software development, but that can be utilized to any of the organization. We have seen just by taking the word software, if you put any product or service delivery, then it will change the whole aspect of anything you are doing. Even at home, we practice. I practice in many cases, and I have seen many people who are truly believing and practicing at work. They are also doing similar kind of practice at home also. So it works for
So
any.
currently, yeah, the quick question, right? On top of that, so there are 12 manifestos as you mentioned.
Yes.
So who is the governing body at this moment? Meaning, if there is a change needed to that, so who is authorized to do that?
Uh, I'm not sure whether I can answer that one. So it's basically Agile Manifesto, and there is a website. There are people within that. I think if we write to them, they might look into it. But yeah,
Okay,
I'm sorry about
no,
that.
that's fine. I was just asking. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a website.
Pradeep,
You can go to the Agile.
Pradeep, just to add to your point, actually what happened is after 2001, people have broken up. All those 17 people have broken up. They've launched their own kind of frameworks or different things. For example, if you take Alistair Coburn has his own academy called Heart of Agile. We have Jeff Sutherland, who was part of it and who has basically launched Scrum INC, and we have few other people who have launched the Scrum Alliance, Agile Alliance, and we have something
Okay.
called Scrum.org. So it's like we have different certification bodies which are basically circled around the same 12 principles and four things. So, but still, we still have that Agile Manifesto as the base for it, but it's, I mean, there is no custodian as such as of now which says that okay, everybody. So that's a while we see every company following a khichdi of everything now in their as per their
Understood.
requirement, as per the client requirement. So
Got you.
Rohit, I would like to ask you something.
yeah, please go ahead.
So I'm not very sure because I've been into scrum.org specifically. So
Hmm.
like they follow the Scrum guide, right?
Yeah.
So are all these organizations like Scrum Alliance and everybody is following the same Scrum guide, or they've got different Scrum guides of their own?
It's the same. It's the same. It's the same Scrum guide which is followed, which is being given as a kind of as a base material for CSM or PSM or LSM. Yeah.
Okay. So lately we just came across that they are introducing an update to that Scrum guide. I'm not sure, like last Scrum, the last update was in 2017, I suppose, and now they're coming up with some other update, if I'm not wrong. So
Yes, see, the book, basic book which has been written by the authors, they are free to change the content over there. It's not that it follows it, but everything is revolving around the same 12 principles and four values over there.
yeah,
See, so base remains the same. Ultimately, it's just that the as per the market requirement, the guide keeps changing. For example, now I think Jeff Sutherland came up with the uh, scaled scrum actually. So we did not have safe until 2016 or 17. So that become a kind of a market dependency with many people following, specifically Philips and other companies. They started following safe. So we have few companies following Kanban. So that way, but everything you see, the people who basically discovered these frameworks, or who have their books written on these kind of frameworks, are all people who have some or the other connection to the Agile Manifesto.
okay. So if I say that the people who are making changes to the Scrum guide, even if they are broken up into different organizations, so basically they are the guiding factor behind this manifesto, and they are the big
Yes,
people behind it, right? So
correct,
if,
correct.
like, if we take this as an answer for Pradeep's question, so Pradeep, do you take that as an answer? Like the people who are
Yeah,
making changes to the
it's
manifesto or the
always,
Scrum guide?
it's kind of evolving, right? It's always things
Yes.
evolve. I understand. Yeah, yeah. So I was just asking for a sake of like understanding how it's going forward. People are managing this. That's all I wanted to know. Yep.
I take it, if I take it as an analogy, I see Scrum as an organization which was started blooming, and then all the directors split up, they made their own organizations, but the main rules still stay the same. They still respect
Right,
the
right.
Scrum part,
There,
and they are still a part
mhm.
of it. So they keep make changes to that, and so there's not a single you say a master. They're all broken
Right.
up into different fields, but they
Uh,
still have a connection.
in fact, if
Yep.
you really look at the comments or the people who are part of this agile community, so there is lot of longing demand that this particular agile manifesto be changed as per the market requirement. But again, because of this changing environment and people have been split up, so because of this, there is no kind of late that can be changed. But it is on a, if indirectly things are being changed purely because there is
Right.
no proper control. There are other external factors which are making them changing in an individual level, say Scrum or a Kanban level, or a say safe level, that way. Yeah.
Okay, very nice. So thank you everyone participating in this discussion. I was not interrupting anyone because people are still joining. So this is a good discussion. We'll have definitely further discussion into these Scrum Agile practices, and you will have a good understanding of where from it came and how it is derived this way. So I would say one thing at this point, the Agile Manifesto, the four values and 12 principles, they are very stable and very strong in a way they have developed. There is no, literally, there is no need to change. With the Scrum guide, so initially it was 17 page, now it is 19 page. So they have made some of the changes based on the market need, definitely what Rohit said. So um, always we have to think one thing, that if you are not constantly looking into what we are doing and what improvement we can bring, then there is no improvement, and you will be outdated. So always people are looking for those changes, and those things are happening through a certain group of people who are knowledgeable and who initiated this process. There is always business thing happening behind the scene. A lot of organization came through basically going through certification process and making money. So essentially, game is happening there, but eventually, everyone follows the same standard, same principle and values behind the scene. So let's move to our discussion little bit so that we can utilize our time effectively. But keep on thinking and keep on asking questions, keep on putting those questions in our parking lot, and we can have discussion, right? So again, thank you everyone. Let's begin with our course here. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm good here. So thank you again joining our fifth session today, and we are going to talk a little bit of Scrum today, which is the core of everything at this point we can say. And if we understand the Scrum process, then understanding Kanban, understanding other practices will be good. So let's understand this one thoroughly. So remote agreement, again look into this one. We are at this point using parking lot and many other things, and people are supporting this remote working agreement, which is good. Thank you everyone. And yesterday we covered this big picture, very high level, and we'll be connecting with this big picture all the time. So I'm just showing it here. And I'm going to go back little bit to this agile principle and values, and want to make sure people understand this one little bit, because everything is connected here. And if we are not understanding what is this value we are talking about, what is this principle we are talking about, and how practice is connected with that one, so uh, this is little bit we need to understand, right? Think of the iceberg here. The top portion you see is the practice, very little portion you see, but everything is connected behind the scene. Below the iceberg, big piece is basically principle and values. If we are doing some practice and if we are not understanding the principle and values behind it and correctly understanding how it is connected, then the practice we'll be doing will not give a good result. So that is the most important thing, right? So what is value? Value basically what is important, held in high standard, and principle is basically fundamental statements based on value. So something gives a high value or very important, and how basically we need to get that one. So through the practice, so action based on principles and values. So I'm going to give two examples here so that to understand. For example, we do daily stand-up, which we'll be talking what a daily stand-up is, all those, but there is a practice daily stand-up, and what value we are getting, what the value behind it is, individual and interaction is over processes and tools, right? So we value process and tool, but we give more value to individuals and interaction, right? So what the principle behind is, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project, right? So if I am doing a stand-up and I see that only developers are there in the stand-up, right? Is it going to give good result? So when I read this principle, then I say no, it will not. So I need to have everyone to be part of it. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. So if product owner is missing in the stand-up, then there is something wrong. So we need to change that practice, right? So similarly, system demo. System demo, what is the value connected to it? Is working software. So what is the principle? Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through yearly and continuous delivery of valuable software, right? So if I am doing a demo and I am demoing just a design document, right? Is it going to give value? No, right? So it is connected through the principle. So think of practice, how it is connected and how we are getting value, right? So this is where you have to see that. So some of the practice might be connected into multiple principle and values, or one principle might be connected to a reverse way, right? So you have to think what we are doing, how it is connected to principle and practices. So these two, I thought to check with you guys and then proceed, right? So there is a request regarding session time change, and in WhatsApp I mentioned that we need to talk about it. So I want to discuss a little bit here quickly. Uh, so that to find out whether we are comfortable making the change. What is the suggestion is if we can move or prepone this or change the schedule to make it 45 minutes earlier than the current schedule, will that work or not, right? So, uh, Sushita, can you pull the poll? So I have at this point out of 35 people, 2 people are not comfortable changing. I want to ask those 2 people, if you do not mind, from which region you are and what is making this not comfortable for you, if you can share.
Yeah, Vishnu, one of that is me. Actually, I travel a lot, little bit, so it won't be possible for me to make it within that time. That's right.
Okay, so you are saying, is it specific to Saturday or Sunday or anything that will help?
Actually, weekends I travel,
All weekends,
so
okay.
only on weekends.
Okay, both Saturday, Sunday.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
But as everybody is comfortable with changing the time, so maybe we can go ahead and do it. I will try to make it before. Maybe I will be late little bit, but I will join.
Okay, sounds good. The second person,
Vishnu, this is Guna here. I'm in the Middle East region, so hopefully Friday will not be a problem, but I mean Saturday will not be a problem. But
okay,
Sunday will be a working day where the working hours may delay because of the work from home situation. So that's the reason it will be delayed time. But everybody is okay, the majority of people. But still, I'll be managed to join. So I'm okay with this. Let's proceed.
okay. No, so we are basically preponing, not postponing. So,
Reporting.
so that is okay, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, okay, that's good. So thank you guys for participating in this one. Good discussion. So we are going to make it basically 45 minutes earlier than regular schedule. So I'll make the change and send it to everyone. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Now we'll start with the Scrum Foundation and then see how we are understanding. So before we start, I need to do little bit activity here so that people have understanding, good understanding. So how it goes, I'm going to share and show what we need to do. There are still people joining, but I think we are good. So this activity will be for 8 minutes, and we'll come back and have about 2 minutes sharing with our group to see how we are doing and what's the result behind this one and why we are doing this one, right? So 1 second, I have to find my document. Hold on. So I'm going to Trello. At this point, I would suggest everyone to join Trello. Without Trello, it will not work. So please connect to Trello. If you have the link or any way how you need to log in, so please go through that one. So go to Trello, and I'm going to go to Global Training Program. I hope you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
So on each team, you will see that on top you will have 2 boards. One is relay race, another is rugby. So if you go to your first relay race kind of thing, right? So let me go back to my board here so that I can show here. So when you go to your team, so when I do the team breakout, you'll be in your team and go to relay race. If you have not joined, join immediately right now. So join relay race and the other board rugby, so that you'll be able to play here. So you'll be coming here. There are multiple cards here, and right hand side multiple team names or team member name, right? So what I want to do is within your team find out one person who will be a timekeeper person, right? Once you identify, then identify who will be the team member one. So put your name on this one. So team member one, oh, this is Rajni, or this is Jitendra, like that, right? So put your name here so that if within your team people know that okay, this person is this first one is this person, right? So now what you need to do is the timekeeper will be keeping the time. So the timekeeper basically when everyone is ready, so timekeeper will say start. So he will keep a note of the time, and the first person who is here, that person will be pulling all the cards. So if there are four people in the team playing, so he will be pulling four cards and put into the first on his thing, right? So the moment he finishes, he will tell the other person saying that, hey, now you are ready. So pull the cards to your thing. Then the second person will do the same thing. Once he finishes everything, then he calls out to the next person. Next person pulls the cards to his basic activity thing, right? So that thing happens until it reaches to the fourth one. Fourth person is basically finally putting into unnamed bucket here, right? So finally he says that I am done. When it is done, then the timekeeper say records. So this took 2 minutes 35 seconds, for example. So he keeps that record. Then everyone joins the other board, which is basically rugby. And then what happens here? So the first person pulls one card. The moment he pulls the one card, then the other second person has the opportunity to pull to his board, his swing lane, right? So then the third person goes and pulls that one, like that. So but the first person doesn't wait, so he comes and put the second one, the while other people are still moving, right? He basically, the first person is moving one by one. At the same time, team member two is, the moment he sees that okay, I have the card, immediately he pulls, right? So and see that when it reaches to the last one, everything, and last person is able to put in the final one, then the time is over, and the timekeeper keeps the time, saying that, oh, this took 1 minute 15 seconds or whatever, right? So then discuss within this one between two boards, right? Okay, we did in one way versus the other way, second one, right? So what's the difference? What is going on here, and why we are more effective here versus there? What are the challenges, right? Let's talk about it. Okay, any question at this point? How to play?
Do we just stick with 6 cards, or are we supposed to
No,
come
so
up?
if there are four members, right? So the one person will be timekeeper, then three people will be playing. So the three people they will have three cards to choose. So they'll be basically taking three only. If there are six people, then five members are playing. One person is timekeeper. So five cards will be moving. So like that.
Okay.
Any other question?
Can we do a quick example just for 30 seconds and then we can break out so we know what you want us to do?
Okay. So I'm on my board. So I'm in relay race, right? So somebody is taking time, keeping time, right? So hold on. I'm in my board, right? So I'm in this one, relay race. Subhakant has put on this board, not in this one. So you have to go to your team and put the name first. So like Subhakant has put the name here, so people will come and decide, okay, I'll be the team member 3. So somebody is typing his name here, right? So all those team members are decided. So there are 4 members here, for example. So 4 members. So we have to play with 4 cards only. So the first person is coming and sorry. The first person is basically pulling the card here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I have put the 4th card and I'm telling, hey, team member 2, go and take the cards. So team member 2 is coming and putting this one. Okay, team member 3, take the card, like that. Okay, if the team member not seeing, they might have to refresh their screen to see. So then the 4th member is doing this one.
So what is the time checker is doing here while moving thing happened, right?
So the time checker started. Maybe he's using phone. The time this thing, right? Which basically goes the timer, right? So how much time going second by second, right? So he has started that one. Now, so the 4th person has put all his card in the 5th bucket. So now the timekeeper basically do the stopwatch.
Stop.
Right?
Okay.
So it is now 2 minutes, whatever, right? So this game is over. He says he remembers that it is 2 minutes 15 seconds or whatever, right? So then we go to the next board.
So this is similar to the passing the ball game, if I'm not wrong, correct?
Yeah, let's not discuss about what is this. Okay, let's play the game and team will discuss what they are getting, right? So Raghav, here I am putting this one card one here. The moment it is here, this person is coming and pulling it, but at the same time I am pulling because everyone is playing. So I am putting, and by this time the 3rd member has taken this one. All those things are parallelly happening, parallelly going, right? So let's see what's the difference between this, and finally it is in the 5th bucket because there are 4 people playing. Is it clear?
Meaning
Do we
timekeeper
have
will
to?
not play. Sorry, I'm sorry. I just
No. Do
wanted
we
to.
have to add something to the card, or should the card be empty?
Just pull. Just card is named as card 1, card 2, like that. So just pull it and put into the bucket.
Okay. Okay.
That's it. And timekeeper, make sure you have started the clock, and when it is end, basically note down the time. This is the time it took.
So we have to go to our team rugby board and then start that
Yes. So
race. Okay.
basically, when I break, I'll do the breakout room. So when I
Okay.
break, you'll be there in the team. You discuss about who is the timekeeper, and other people, they put the name, and then you'll have basically do the conversation. Okay, I'm doing this one. Go ahead. My bucket is done. Okay, so pull it, like that. You talk about it, right? And see
Okay.
what are the challenges. Somebody might say, hey, I'm not seeing. Maybe you need to refresh your browser so that in your browser it shows up. So everybody
Mhm.
participating.
So for now, we have to do it in the global training program
No,
board.
the moment I basically break you out, you'll be on your team, only 4 or
Okay.
5 people or whatever, right? And then
Okay.
you go your team board, you go to Trello to your team board, find
Okay.
2 boards, join if you have not joined, and then put your name and discuss. So if you have question, your team member will be able to answer if somebody has
Okay.
question, right?
Okay. Okay.
So
Yep.
So one last question, Vishnu. So between these 2 games, right? The timekeeper is checking both the timings for both the games, or like that's a.
it is one game. It is one game. We are utilizing 2 boards. So
Okay. Okay.
same timekeeper, same way naming whatever you are doing, but game is played little bit differently. One is
Okay.
basically
Got it.
sequential batching and putting everything, handing over to other, and then the other one is basically the moment one thing is done, other person has the opportunity to pull immediately.
Got you.
But Vishnu, sorry to interrupt. I think the question he was asking was, do we keep
one like the, do we combine both the timing or do we keep
No, no, okay. So if that's the no, we don't combine. You have to give me the number separately. The first process took this much time. Second process took this much time, and you discuss within your team what is happening between these two. What happened in process one? What happened in process two? And are we getting any efficiency? What is going on here? And tell me. So when I break out, basically when you come to the main room, I'll be pulling few teams to have discussion. We discuss there basically what is the difference you have seen and why it is like this. Okay. So I'm stopping here and I'm going to break everyone out. So Anuba, Ritu, Sikant, you are part of which team?
Team Echo, Vishnu.
Okay, so that's good.
We are done.
Okay. So who was the time creeper?
I kept for one, and Swayam Sudha kept for another one.
Okay.
So for the relay race, we timed 1 minute and 17 seconds. And for rugby, we timed 1 minute. But in the relay race, we had a little glitch with the Trello. One team member was not able to join.
Okay.
So we lost some 30 seconds there. So we could have started or finished earlier, I would say.
Okay. So did you discuss what's the difference between those two process and what do you think about those two? What's the difference?
Yeah, we discussed in the sense, just like a relay race, if we there is a baton, a person is running with the baton, and when he reaches a certain point, he passes it on to the next person, and then he runs with it. So that is what I mean. It's like stage wise. We finish this, and then we move on to the next stage in software life cycle as well. I look at it like that. But for rugby, it is like it is a simultaneous flow of knowledge and small software pieces that are being built, that are being tested, and uh, that are being integrated probably with the other parts. I would see it like that.
Basically, like I would like to explain this a bit further. Like we said that if a particular skill set, a person with a particular skill set is taking up all the part of the job, and everybody else is waiting for him to complete his job, once he is done, then he passes it over to the next team member, and so on. So that is basically taking more time as compared to, if for an example, if a developer is there, he's doing a part of his job and he's passing it down to the other team member, maybe for testing or something. By that time, the developer is doing the next chunk of his job. If we are doing sort of parallelly, everybody is working, so it takes less time.
Okay, very nice. Okay, any other?
So, yeah, we also joined from Team Golf, Pradeep, Suresh, Subrat, and Santosh.
Okay.
Like, so we did, we are like currently four of us.
Okay.
And we tried doing the same exercise in the two methods. And the first method we did within 15 seconds versus the second one we did in 9 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
what we learned between these two processes, the first one was kind of you're depending on the first one to complete for the second one to start, right? So it's kind of, you can't proceed unless the first one finishes. Wherever in the second game, you can do parallelly. Start. That's how we are able to achieve in short period of time.
Understand. So this is so Pradeep. So from the surface, it looks like if you think of iceberg, right? The top is practice. So we did something, but the bottom there is some principle and values connected with it. So we need to understand that one. What is the behind the scene? What is happening, and how it is connected, right? So to be
Right.
effective, if we understand those principles and values, then only we can understand why I need to choose this method versus that one. So anyone
Correct.
wants to connect there, like what is going on?
Vishnu, this is Veena from Foxtrot. So I would look at relay as a waterfall methodology and rugby and similar to agile.
Okay, but can you connect to any principle or anyone who can help? Any principle or values that we are talking?
You're
Are we talking
continuously
about
delivering, and we are not waiting for things to be piled up. So as and when something is ready, we pull it whenever it is ready to be pulled.
Then you want to say something? So that's good. So we are going to talk more about it. So I want to ask the last team, Alpha. Alpha team took a little bit time. So is there any challenge or something? Why team was struggling completing the task? Anyone? Alpha team?
We just had some issue with the screen freezing, so we couldn't like move it at once. So it was just a technical issue, I guess.
Oh, technical
So
issue.
we had to do the rugby again.
Okay. Okay. So is there any understanding from those two processes and why one thing is better than other? How efficient the first one is? What is the effectiveness, right? Efficient versus effectiveness. So if I am in the team, I might be very efficient and I am running fast, but overall effectiveness, right? We have to think two things: effectiveness and efficiency, right? So how do we define those, and what are the challenges there, and how to get value, right? So is there any connection anyone can make?
Anyone in Team Alpha, Chika or Geetika, anyone wants to summarize? Mahesh.
Yes, we had initially when we did the relay race, we had around 18 seconds, and when we did the rugby, it was around some 11 seconds. See, practically, it's evident that when we all parallelly work and when there is no delay or when all the resources are used parallelly, we had efficiency as well as the effectiveness in delivering the items. So there was no delay between the resources not moving from flow. These were the things which we discussed after we completed the activity based on the timings.
So when the first activity happened at that time, what did you notice? That one person is working on it and other people are doing what?
When the during the relay race, only one person was working, all other were waiting patiently for the other person to complete. So till the time we were waiting. So after we completed the relay race and for rugby, we were not waiting. Parallelly, we were working with all others. So the work was moving fast.
Very good. So basically, the point is, so waiting is something we consider as a waste. If you go through lean management process, you will see that any kind of production process where people are working constantly, there are certain areas we need to identify quickly. What are the waiting areas, right? Why people are waiting and how we can improve those areas. So as long as we identify those areas where people are waiting for someone, or there are a lot of hands up going on, and people are waiting for those things, right? So whether it is software practices or any other business, right? So one department is delivering something to the second department. When the second department is basically they are getting things like a batch process, a batch thing, right? So instead of department one is delivering to department 2 as a continuous process where I am done with one activity or one task. Let me give that on to department 2 or a team A, team B, right? When we are working within the program, we have multiple teams. If I think that okay, oh, my iteration is ending in next week Friday, so I'll give everything what I am doing to team B when I am done. So team B is waiting for another 8 days or 12 days because team A is thinking that I will polish as much as possible and finally I will give, right? So we have to consider those aspects and see that when we are working as a big team, team of teams, you can think, right? At that time, how management or leadership is making or motivating people to work together in a way that one team is not waiting for other. So when things are done, even a small piece, right, it has to be transmitted to the other team. So finding out any kind of technique how things can be transparent that people can find out okay, team A has completed task 1 and I can pull it immediately. So those are the mechanism we have to see and see how we can make better. So let's go to the next thing I'm going to share right now. This is a good discussion, but we have to understand how we are connecting our practices with the principle and values so that it will give good result. Okay, so you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, now we are going to deep dive into Scrum. So it starts with the root, right? So we did the relay race and rugged approach. So relay race is basically in the product development. We think of people are putting their most effort and trying to run faster, right? Uh, they're trying to be flexible, all those, but whether it is effective or not, right? So we talked about Ragbhai approach where team is trying to go the distance as a unit. That's the most important thing. So when we are working as together, we have to think that how we are building ourselves, how we are challenging ourselves to go together and finding out our impediments and resolving those, working together and think of what is our goal and focusing those goals, finding out how we can resolve those together. That is most important thing. So that is where we have to focus. So from beginning I am telling that as long as we are building ourselves and working as a team, and then once we have that knowledge, once we are able to do that one, think then how we can incorporate ourselves or change our mindset in a way that we can work together as team of teams. So we have to go to the next step also. So first we have to understand team, and within the team what are the delivery and how we are making those delivery, what are the different aspect of making that delivery faster with effectiveness, with bringing quality into picture, right? How we are utilizing those processes, we need to understand. So Scrum, right? We have different process within Agile. We mentioned earlier, right? We have Scrum, Kanban, XP, DevOps. There are so many things, right? So Scrum is something called a framework. People sometimes use the word process, but it's not really a process. It's a framework within which people can address complex and adaptive problem while productively and creatively delivering products of the highest possible value, right? So Scrum is defined as a lightweight framework, simple to understand, difficult to master. So why it is called simple to understand? So if you we talked a little bit in the beginning of our session, right? Some people already mentioned, right? This Scrum process, the framework is defined. If you go to scrum.org, you will find we have a 19-page document. If you have not seen that document, I would suggest to go there, find that document. It is only 19 pages and it is very simple to understand, but it is difficult to master. So if you are working in an agile space as a scrum master, product owner, even within the team development team member, like a tester or developer or a UI developer or whatever role it could be, right? So it is applicable to everyone. It is not just few people within the team, right? Everyone who are part of the agile. If you are following Scrum, then you have to definitely go there. If you are not following Scrum, maybe Kanban, still it is valuable. You need to go and read what value it gives, right? So why it is saying that difficult to master? Because knowledge is not same as understanding. The beginning discussion what we had, right? You might have good knowledge, you might have understood the 19-page document thoroughly, but are you really understanding what is the theory behind it, right? So you need to understand that one in a way that gives you the real basically meaning to that one. So how do you get is through practice, and we'll be talking about those in our next this thing. So Scrum framework, so if you take a look at it, where it is applicable, right? So if you see this x and y axis, it talks about technology, and y axis is requirement, right? So when technology is basically close to certainty, means the technology that we'll be using for this product delivery, we are very sure what we are going to use and how the technology is going to work out here. So then it comes here, and if the requirements close to agreement, that means we understand the requirement very thoroughly, that is there are no question. So it becomes simple, right? So the project becomes simple, and we can very well utilize waterfall methodology, and it will also work. There is no doubt about it. But if the technology becomes uncertain, or it is kind of in the middle, we know so some of the technologies we have the skill set in our hand, some of the skill sets that we need, maybe we are not very sure. We need to research, we need to find out what needs to be done. So we are in the middle kind of thing. And similarly requirements, not that every requirement is flushed out from beginning, lot of vagueness is there, right? So when we are talking about that one, then we come to the middle, complicated, and so simple then complicated, and then on this side is anarchy. Basically most of the things are not known, right? Everything is unknown. So this is where basically a lot of challenges, and nobody likes to touch this area. So but where we need to fall is basically here. So we need to take challenge in this area. So things are everything is not clear, but we need to take challenge and do something. So this is where Scrum comes into picture. So when things are complex, we basically follow this process to find out how we can solve those. So this is the area. We take a look at it, right? So Scrum is not a process, and it's a not a process, technique, or definitive method. Rather, it is a framework within which you can employ various processes and techniques, right? So the Scrum framework consists of Scrum teams and their associated roles, events, artifacts, and rules. You will see everything, and I'm going to explain one by one the teams, roles, event, artifact, and rules. Each component within the framework serves a specific purpose and essential to Scrum success and usage. The rules of the Scrum bind together the roles, event, and artifact, governing the relationship and interaction between them. Once I show the picture and tell you each part one by one, you will see how it is connected and how to utilize. So the framework, we need to understand the framework little bit, right? So if you see this picture, right? So here the building is a core building. I would say this is a framework, because you cannot utilize this one as is, but it is giving the strong foundation it is giving you everything needed, but not the final detail, right? Whether this will be office building, whether this will be your mall, a small mall maybe, or maybe somebody's big huge mansion or something. I don't know anything from this one, but I can utilize this one to make a office space, and within the office space I can have this is boss room, other technical people will be sitting here. Based on that, I need to put so and so carpet, all those detailing things, right? Where restroom will go, all those kind of thing. And nothing is shown here and nothing is there, but this one will serve everyone's purpose as long as the framework is clearly understood and where things will go. Then people will start developing their own things. They will bring their own practices, and how to utilize those practices within this framework. The framework itself gives, okay, so this is the staircase, and we can go and we can go to the second floor. In the second floor we have this, we can find this, all those. So framework is giving you the ability to construct whatever you want, but if I don't have the staircase, people cannot walk to the second stair. So those kind of things. So basic thing there, so that you take the basic thing and then try to make sure, try to find out what practice and the other thing you need to put so that you can utilize this one nicely. So we'll go a little bit theory into Scrum so that we understand how we can utilize. Scrum is founded on empirical process control theory or empiricism. Empiricism asserts that knowledge comes from experience and making decisions based on what is known. So this part is very crucial. So decision based on what is known. In our first session or second session maybe, I mentioned about this one. The decision making process. I talked about economic value, talking about cost of delay and other things, right? Decision is based on what is known right now, not what is going to happen tomorrow or after 1 year, right? So this Scrum theory talks about right now. Suppose I'm the captain of a boat and I'm taking that boat. So I'm looking into the weather, I'm looking into where I am, the direction, everything, and based on the current situation I am guiding or taking the boat to certain area so that boat is safely reaching the destination, right? So that is what the empiricism says. Basically you go through the current scenario and find out how you need to drive. So it basically employs it has three pillars. I will be talking about that one. But when we go through the process, we go through iterative incremental approach so that we can optimize predictability and control risk. So we'll talk about those two aspects, how to optimize predictability and control risk. But at this point, understand. So we talked about iterative and incremental approach and how to deliver things. We touched over a little bit, but we'll go and understand more. So iterative and incremental. So you see these two pictures. So the first one is iterative. So here we say that iteration 1, I am basically planning, I am designing, I am building, testing, reviewing, and then launching. So what I'm launching, so with this particular iteration, here it says sprint 1, the terminology now coming a little bit here. So previously I said iteration, that's a generic term for agile, but within Scrum we say sprint. Each sprint is basically a specific duration or a time box. You can tell either 1 week or 2 weeks or maybe 4 weeks, whatever it may be, right? Depending on what suits your program, your project, your team. And then once you decide that one, then you go through the process. And what are the process? Basically this is just a standard one: plan, design, build, test, review. This is a standard thing for IT software development. But if you are on other type of product development, these steps might be different. But essentially you will be planning something and designing your product, you are building that product, you are testing that product, you are finally reviewing and making sure what you wanted, it is meeting that need, and then if you are ready, then you are ready to launch to the customer, or at least keeping that one in the shelf with a ready condition, right? And that's the basically with this one you have completed one small piece of the feature or one feature, and that is an increment. So one small increment is coming, one cycle is done. So similarly another cycle is done as next increment, so together it becomes big one. So it goes through the different cycles, and finally it becomes big one, and maybe at this point you are giving everything to the customer, or in the middle maybe at this point one release is happening. So release planning, what we discussed yesterday, right? When we are doing release planning, we are coming up with how many cycles it will be part of, and in each cycle what we are doing, all those program Kanban, what I said, right? Different features what we are going to deliver. So this is basically incremental delivery. So step by step what we are completing and getting it ready for the customer. So this is the basic, and let's go through detail. So with the Scrum, I mentioned three pillars, and we need to understand these three very clearly. So three pillars are basically upholding every implementation of empirical process control. So it starts with transparency. Anything and everything we are doing, any work process we have, if we have the transparency of what we are doing, how things are happening, then it will move faster, right? And inspection has to basically, through the inspection process you will understand what is happening, whether we are doing right thing or wrong thing, and the moment we find those, then we basically need to adapt to the situation and find out what improvement we need to do. So these three, so the start with transparency is a significant aspect of the process, must be visible to those responsible for the outcome. Transparency requires those aspects to defined by common standard, so observers share a common understanding of what is being seen. So yesterday we talked about shared understanding, so that aspect it is coming. So if we have shared understanding of what way we need to develop, what is being developed, instead of people asking status, they will be very much understanding what this particular team is doing. So as long as we are transparent to everyone outside of the team, within the team, outside the team, that people need to have the shared understanding of what does it mean when I show something on my stand up. If people, stakeholders are standing and looking into this one, without any question they will be able to understand what this team is going towards and what goal they have, how they are going to achieve all those things. It will be clearly transparent and visible to everyone. So we need to come up with any practice we are doing, we have to make sure that all those practice should be visible, and team should be responsible to make it visible. If somebody comes and in the stand up says that don't worry about this particular task, I'm doing this one and I'll finish this one by tomorrow, so don't bother me in between. So that is not transparent. That means he's hiding, he or she is hiding something, and people are also not ready to basically challenge the person, right? So when people are working together, openness should be there, things should be visible, people need to trust each other and discuss in a way that things can be transparent, and people will be open and helping on the situation to deliver things faster. Inspection. Scrum users must frequently inspect Scrum artifacts and progress towards a sprint goal to detect undesirable variances. Their inspection should not be so frequent that inspection gets in the way of work. Inspections are most beneficial when diligently performed by skilled inspectors at the point of work. So it talks about a couple of things here. So inspection is definitely required. So whatever work we are doing, so within the team we have different roles. We'll talk about roles, but so when it comes to the delivery, right? Each of the story we are working, which is basically focused towards sprint goal. Uh, if we are working on a particular story and that story is not meeting towards the sprint goal, then that is a waste, first of all. If it is needed for that sprint goal to achieve the sprint goal, then we need to make sure that okay, we inspect that outcome and make sure that okay, what a customer wanted or what business wanted or what product owner wanted, is it basically meeting their need, right? It has to be inspected frequently but not so frequent. Means okay, if every day product owner comes and say that okay, I need to see this one, I need to see that one. Oh, you are in the middle, can I see this one, what is going on, right? And it is going to cause problem for the team member. They will be focused to delivery, but if somebody interrupts in between all the time, then it will create a problem. So there should be a balance, but inspection is important. Now adaptation. So we are inspecting. Now we need to see if we are inspecting and if we are not taking action on the failure part, or there is defect in a particular process, right? If we are not correcting it, then we cannot improve, right? We got the result here and we saw the result and we are not doing good. We understood, but there is no action. So then there is no improvement. So we have to see how we can improve. So this process adaptation is the third pillar, which is very important. We need to make sure that okay, we understand this process and how we are tuning ourselves and adjusting ourselves and making things better day by day. So this one is something. This is in my basement. I created this one in the hand. My little one helped putting some of the pictures like sticky, um, and then later I decided to create something like electronic. My daughter, in fact, helped here, so which we are going to discuss here. So is the picture clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, very nice. So we talked about incremental iterative process. We talked about different roles, people, and three pillar of Scrum: transparency, inspection, and adaptation, right? So we need to see that how those are here and how we are basically delivering. So this picture starts with the left hand. Here you see product owner, in the middle Scrum Master, and here team. So any Scrum team, you will find that three different roles. Product owner and Scrum Master, they are basically specialized role. They are helping the team. They are exhibiting servant leadership and seeing that how we can deliver something in the way company needed, business needed, customer asking for, right? So in that, the first thing is product backlog. Product backlog is something that gives everything that is needed to be worked on and to be delivered. We'll talk detail about each of the item. I'm just going to hit the high level, and then when we go through the slide, you'll understand. So essentially, it is nothing but lot of asks by what, customer or business, internal customers, whoever it may be, or maybe the technical ask, all those. Everything is put into this. Think of this is a bucket where things are put, but things are getting constantly changed. It is not fixed. and we are working constantly looking into this bucket and finding out which thing needs to be worked on first. So here product owner, he or she is solely responsible for looking into this one, taking ownership of this bucket, making sure that the priority is understood clearly, economics are understood clearly, what needs to be delivered first and why it needs to be delivered at this point, what gives value, all those things using different technique and everything. So sorting out, ranking in the right order, and finally a team is taking that one, working on it. So in that process, you see that something is happening here, but it is connected to this circle. So let me come back to that one. So here it starts. So when we work on it, we have different events within this process. This is an iterative process. You have seen that circle. So basically this is a sprint, what we talked earlier. Within this sprint, there are multiple events or activities happening. I'm going to talk about those. So it starts with a planning, which is iteration planning. With Scrum, it is sprint planning. So remember that one. So in Scrum, we'll be using the word sprint. In regular Agile, it's a generic term called iteration. So because this is iterative development, so iteration planning, iteration review, all those iteration, then I'll change to sprint review, sprint planning, sprint retrospective, like that. Those will be using sprint word. So keep that one in mind, right? So in this process, you see people, they are doing something, right? So in the iteration planning, what we are doing, we definitely will discuss more, but here they are focusing on this product backlog and finding out what needs to be what, right? Estimating those and refining all those things, whatever necessary in this, and finally deciding this is what I need to work, and they are committing to work on that those items, and they are putting into something called iteration backlog or sprint backlog in Scrum. If you are using Kanban, you might not use sprint backlog, you might be using iteration backlog, or so some team might be using sprint backlog. So once those lists are there, then people are ready to start working on it. So they are working. When they are working, if it is a 2 week sprint or 2 weeks iteration, so every day we are working. So first day we did a big planning, but now we have an opportunity to plan every day. So this daily scrum comes into picture, where people are gathering together, and everyone part of the team, including scrum master and product owner, in getting involved in this process. They are looking into something called their sprint board or Kanban board. So people will be asking me, okay, what is Kanban, what is Scrum, what's the difference, all those. So hold on to that thought right now, but right now think that this is a visible information radiator. So yesterday I was talked with the word was BVIR, big visible information radiator. So we use that term in many cases, but somehow it didn't come to my brain that time. It was stuck, right? So BVIR. So this BVIR is nothing but displaying the work item in different stages and how the flow is happening. So the picture is not very big here, so you cannot see, but people are looking into that one and talking about the priority, what is their sprint goal or what is their iteration goal. Based on that one, they are finding out what is my next step to do. So they are deciding right there. Basically, they are doing a planning. It's a daily planning and finding out what I need to do. So yesterday, what I did, what I'm going to do today, to basically improve this process or basically make this flow and complete this task or the story or whatever I am doing, that is basically helping in reaching out the goal I have. So for this sprint, we have a goal to deliver so and this particular story I am going to work today or I worked yesterday, basically helping in achieving that goal, and I am going to do so today, which will help. And in that process, if a team member has any kind of issue, impediment, we can say, we use the word impediment, means there is a blocker which is causing basically for the person not to move forward with that. So this is our highest priority, but right now, because of so and so reason, I will not be, or we are not able to move forward. So then the product owner and Scrum Master both are there. Scrum Master is a facilitator of all the process within this iteration, you can say, right? Within the team level work, Scrum Master, that's the reason Scrum Master in the top and basically looking into everything. Product owner is solely focusing on the business side, focusing on how things can be moved faster in terms of the requirement he or she has, any help the product owner can give so that the progress can, basically things can move. So Scrum Master is looking into overall picture and finding out how he or she can resolve things, or help the team resolve things, right? Finding out if there are dependency with teams, dependency with other stakeholders, maybe from compliance, maybe from security, there are challenges team is not able to do, or maybe there are DevOps practice or pipeline issue, and if there is a shared team, whom to contact, how to get help, all those. So in this meeting, people are basically talking about that one, and then people are running out of that, finding out who can help. So Scrum Master basically facilitate that process. So this is daily Scrum. This is just to give a little bit highlight here. Many people feel that okay, this is a status meeting, and many organizations face that kind of challenge. They feel that this daily Scrum or daily stand-up meeting is a status meeting, and they come and ask, okay, where you stand? Did you finish this one? So if that kind of mode is there in this daily Scrum, it is actually not a good thing. We need to see that how we understand this daily Scrum or stand up very crucially. Why I'm talking this one here very much, because this is the most critical part of anything we are doing here, because this is an everyday process, and if we are not understanding this daily stand up in a right way, then complete things, whatever we are looking at, that might not work out very well. So this stand up is not a status meeting, it's all about planning. And there is a quote, they say that plans are worthless, planning, um, I'm forgetting. So plans are worthless, planning is everything, right? So this is a famous quote given by, I'm forgetting the name also, but you can find that one in Google. So essentially what it says, that plans are worthless, means if you have a big plan and you are taking that plan and acting on it, which you created 3 months before, or 2 weeks before, and acting on it as is, then it's basically worthless, because things have changed. Yesterday what you are doing, maybe 1 hour before, what you are doing, it changed, right? Or maybe the product owner is asking something different. So if you are thinking that okay, we had the plan, I'm going to blindly follow that one, then it is worthless, right? So planning is essential. That means in this 24-hour cycle, people are really doing nothing but planning of what needs to be done at this moment to move things faster, how we can make the flow faster, so that we are basically achieving our goal. So that's the highlight of this 24-hour cycle. So then every day is happening, people are working, people are looking into things, people are reviewing things, all those. happening. So then what comes here? Product backlog refinement, which is nothing but looking into this big bucket, right, and finding out what I'll be doing tomorrow. When I say tomorrow, means not exactly tomorrow, means maybe next iteration, maybe next to that one. So they look into the future and finding out what I need to do here so that when tomorrow starts, I will be in a better position to start the planning and work continuously, right? So we need to have focus on that one. So that is backlog refinement. And when we do that one, we look into the invest criteria or method to basically decompose stories, refine stories, all those things. We'll talk more into it. So decompose, refine, estimate, all those are here, right? So next comes is in inspect and adapt. So you see two circles. There are two different types of inspect and adapt comes into picture. So one is the process wise iteration review or sprint review. So that focuses on product. So you have a product you are trying to deliver, right? That's the plan. So we need to see that what we are doing with that one. So if we constantly look into that, finding out or getting the feedback out of what we have delivered or what we are delivering, then we have opportunity to learn and opportunity to improve ourselves. So that opportunity comes basically feedback from this event, which is iteration review or sprint review. Another is basically retrospective, which gives which focus on process and people. So process, when I say that, okay, we have a specific practice and we are doing how the practice is giving good result or bad result, right? If we do not analyze those and improve ourselves or relentlessly improve those, then things will not go good. So we have to see those. And team, as a team, we are working within the team, how the self-organization happening, how the trust between team members, openness, our commitment, our agreement, team agreement, all those things, how those are working, right? Whether it is helping everyone or not. So within the retrospective, we look into that one. And in retrospective, also we talked a little bit about the product, also whatever review happens, right? Then outcome of that one comes the improvement backlog, and that goes back to the big bucket and then prioritized. And when we plan, we based on the priority, we find out which one needs to be worked on. So detail will come into picture. So here team is the essence. So when we are working, finally, what is the end goal? End goal is to deliver something, and that deliverable might go to production immediately and consumed by the customer right away, right? Or maybe it is impossible at this point to deliver immediately because maybe technology is not there, or maybe customer is not waiting for that one or looking for that one. So but we have to keep the things ready in a way that can be shippable or that can be implemented to production the moment customer needs it. So this is called PSI, potentially shippable increment. Means it basically potentially it is ready, and any time it is basically accepted by the product owner or business to go to customer, then we can move it to production or move it to customer hand. So when we talk about DevOps process, we'll understand also one aspect of moving something to production and getting to customer hand. Those are two different things. Many people think that when I move it to production, that means it is basically released to customer or released, but the terminology is changing. Releasing means releasing to customer, and we need to think separately. Even though it is in production, we need to have technology in place so that it is not in customer hand. So when we have that capability, we'll be able to validate the changes quickly in production, get the feedback, and make sure that it is working out nicely. And then there are different technique. We'll talk about it. So how we need to make it, but that is essentially there. So this is PSI. We need to understand that one. I'm looking into a couple of things here to make sure I have covered. So the ideas you see here picture, so ideas actually coming from customers, users, stakeholders, teams, all over, right? When we talked about release planning, we talked about business context, we talked about the product vision, architect vision, all those things, right? Those people are either customer or end user or stakeholders, right, or other team members, right? All those people are working together, and then we are having program Kanban, and those program Kanban driving the everything for the team, right? So those are the idea coming, and those are basically translated here. So when we are working here, you see the retrospective, the team metrics I'm covering here. So when we go to the process thing and the team thing, how do you know we are doing good or bad? So we need to have some quantitative way or mechanism to understand how we are doing, right? So these are the different metrics. So we have like CFG here, and here we have burn down chat, we have velocity chat, and it could be many things, right? All those things we need to see how we are utilizing those metrics and getting value out of it. So there will be definitely a lot of question, because this is the core part of the Scrum, and I'm touching very high level. So hold on to those questions at this point, put into parking lot. Definitely we'll talk right now. This is 1:23. I didn't give any break. Sorry about it. So do you take 5 minutes break? I think
Yes.
yes. Let's take 5 minutes break. Then after that we'll talk 15 minutes, and we will go to the detailed thing maybe tomorrow, or we'll go little bit detail today, and we'll see. So let's take a 5 minutes break and be back by 1:30 our time. So essentially take 5 minutes break and come back. Thank you, everyone.
Want to know, like when you say knowledge comes from experience and making decisions based on what is known.
Yes.
So what is known, can we say that is knowledge? So based on knowledge, decisions based on knowledge.
Yes. Yes. That is
So the
correct.
same thing. Okay.
Yes.
So knowledge
Yes.
is based on experience
You
and
got to
decision made
know
on.
about something right now. You got to know about something because you become knowledgeable. So now you have to decide what you need to do, right? So you need to think of a practice. The word I'm using practice to connect with this theory, right? So practice means anything you are doing, you can tell it as a practice, right? So you are deciding to get the things done based on the knowledge you have, and then through that practice you are understanding, right? So yeah, go ahead. You have, maybe you are asking something so far.
No. I was just saying that why was it like, why can't we use that word knowledge again? That is decision based on knowledge.
Uh, can you repeat? I could not hear properly. What is based on knowledge?
Okay. No. So knowledge comes from experience and decisions based on knowledge.
Decision based on knowledge, and then
I think,
understanding
okay.
is the final outcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. What you know right now, based on that you are deciding, and you are acting upon it, and you are understanding. So your understanding is the final outcome,
Okay.
and that is driving you to the next step that you need to do. So that understanding, it becomes another new knowledge that is taking any action. So if you remember if you saw that cycle I was doing, there are 3 circles, it was going from yellow to blue, right? Remember? So it is a cyclic process. So knowledge, taking action, you have understanding, that understanding becomes again new knowledge. Based on that understanding, you have new knowledge at that point, and then you are taking action. So it is a cyclic process. So it rotates from knowledge to understanding. So now I have understanding more. Based on that, you derive something, right? So
Right.
okay, I think we should get started. This 132. I'm going to get to the next one. Hopefully everyone joins. So I'm going to share. Everyone can see my screen? Can somebody confirm?
Yes,
Okay.
I can see.
Okay, so we looked into the bigger picture for the team. Initially, we saw bigger picture for the whole program or the enterprise, and then we saw for the team. Then we are going to deep dive a little bit. We talked about iteration and how we are utilizing the 3 pillars: transparency, inspection, and adaptation, right? So here, so this is the iteration, and we have PO, Scrum Master, and team members. We have the final outcome here. We are doing iteration review of this final outcome. We are doing retrospective to understand how we can improve. So it starts with iteration planning. We have daily stand-up every day. We have people. So this is the iteration, but transparency is most important. What is there to be worked on? We need to have clear transparency of what needs to be done, and we need to have clear transparency of what is getting out of our hand. Everyone involved within this team plus the stakeholders, whatever work we are doing, we should make sure that it is transparent to everyone. And we inspect this group here, inspecting even some stakeholders, they are part of the inspection depending on what we are doing. And we are basically doing adaptation, means we are adapting to what is needed based on the feedback we get out of this review process or retro process. So when I say we are adapting, that means it is not just understanding or knowing what needs to be done, taking action and finding out the action what we have taken, whether it is going in a positive way or negative way, and taking further action. So those things needs to be there in a cyclic order to make sure that we adapt it properly. So that process, that adaptation process happens when we think of this, right? Okay, we have plan, do, check, adjust, PDCA cycle. This is Deming cycle. You can take a look at this particular process in Google or wherever, right? So anything we are doing, we always do a planning, and then we take action by doing. After doing, we check what we have done, whether it is working out or not. Based on that knowledge, we adjust ourselves. So when I say adjust, that means we again come back with a new plan and do something, check again, adjust ourselves. Like that it goes continuously, and we try to improve a little at a time. So we have to think that whatever we are doing, even our day-to-day family life, work environment, wherever, how can I implement this one? Plan, do, check, adjust. Most of the time, I have seen people do this one very nice, plan and do. They come up with a plan, they work on it. Some group, they go to next level, they check and find out the problem. But they fail at the fourth one. That is where Agile fails. Basically, people say Agile is not working. So either they have missed the last part, or in like some people miss two things. So they plan do. They're saying I am delivering, I am delivering, I am delivering. But what are you delivering? Are you checking, or is there any mechanism for you to know or to get feedback what you are doing, right? So if those feedback loops are not done properly, then you have problem. Team might be working together, they have stories on their board, they are working it, they are completing it, and they are saying I am done. Then there are no engagement with the product owner at that point. They might be coming in 6 months and saying that, hey, what you have done. So that time it is too late. So you need to find out when you are working with the team, it is a constant process. Every day things are happening. How we are utilizing this plan, do, check, adjust. So when you are standing in the stand up, it is nothing but this one. You are planning in the stand up, planning for that date, for that day, and then you are doing. Everyone is working on it. Everybody is understanding what happened yesterday and what we are going to do together as a whole team, not individually. Everyone does their own thing. Nobody understands what the other person is doing. Then finally, that day, after stand up, maybe people are ready to demo something internally. Not every day, but at least they have understanding that this small piece is done and I need to demonstrate this one, or we need to demonstrate this one with working with the product owner, or maybe we need to bring some stakeholder who are really interested to see this outcome and basically check it, get feedback, or this is what you wanted or no. If you think that this is what you didn't want, you have a different thing, let us understand and how we can adjust, right? So then come up with a new plan, do like that. So this is most important, and the standard process wise, iteration planning or sprint planning, iteration execution, which is sprint execution, every day we are doing things, iteration review or sprint review, where you are doing a system demo or a small part demo, but you are essentially demoing something. And retrospective, you are introspecting yourself, your process, team, everything together, and understanding what needs to be done. So a little bit theory here. Iterations are a single development cycle where each agile team defines, builds, integrates, and tests the stories from their iteration backlog. Duration, each iteration is the same length. So this is most important. I have seen teams not following this one, which causes problem. So this time I'm doing 3 weeks, and after 2 months I'm going to 1 week, then 2 weeks. Yeah, oh, we are waiting for something. Let's change this one to 4 weeks. That doesn't work. It has to be exactly same length. Decide what you want to do. Maybe initially when you are basically starting with agile, you might try a little bit here and there, but it has to stabilize at a particular time. So maybe you tried initially 3 weeks, it is too long. Then you try 2 weeks. Okay, maybe working. Let me try 1 week. How does it work? So within maybe 1 month or 2 months, you will realize that this works better than other. So then you stabilize and stay with that 2 weeks or 1 week, whatever works for you. But if you continue that one for like 6 months or 1 year, then it's a problem. So the goal is to deliver working software hardware at the end of each iteration. here this is another aspect everyone needs to understand. People work within the iteration. They will have 2 weeks or whatever, and they do plan, check, adjust, all those things happening. They are thinking that we are agile, but what they have completely missed the goal, and they have no understanding what is the goal, what is the program goal, what is my team's goal, how it is aligned, how we need to work together to make sure we are aligned and achieving something based on what is needed. Instead, people are just thinking that I am working on this database upgrade. Okay, but why you need to do this one? No understanding. They are focused. They are working on that one, and they are completing that database upgrade, which is not needed, right? So we have to make sure that we understand that one, which gives value. Avoid adding scope once the iteration has begun. So this is another aspect people might struggle on this one, and we need to see that when we are working as a scrum master or product owner, especially product owner, because they bring the stories or anything they introduce to the team, right? So they need to understand how it impacts when something is coming to the team in the middle of the game. So we have planned something this sprint, and in this sprint or in this iteration, I have 3 items to do. I'm working on it, and then product owner comes and says that, hey, we have another important item we need to introduce here, right? So scrum master role is to see that how important it is and whether we can stop that one temporarily until the iteration is complete, and then we can bring that new scope to the next one, right? Essentially, the bottom line is, as much as possible, stop bringing any new scope to the iteration which has already started. But if it is something very crucial, and if team is looking into that one, prioritizing and making sure that okay, they understand what is coming right now, how that new introduction going to impact the goal, overall goal, and the current sprint goal. Understanding those and then balancing that one would be appropriate choice or the top decision to make how we can do that one. So, but it says avoid. It's not saying that completely. It's saying that okay, no, don't take it. No, avoid as much as possible. So avoid adding scope, because the moment you are introducing in the middle, it will cause a lot of replanning and other things, which will be waste. So avoid that one as much as possible, but you are open to change. So take it positively, but plan accordingly, not that blindly take it. Okay, because we said agile means okay, we should be open to change. It is not saying that way. That means you understood agile completely wrong. So you are open to change doesn't mean that you are taking blindly. You are deciding in the right way and planning for it. So it is 1:45. I definitely want to stop it here because people are. This is Sunday, and in India or different parts of the world, it is night. So I want to give respect on that one. Previously, I did not do the right job, taking more time. Sorry about that one, but I think we should focus on that one. If I am doing that one, please remind me and tell that okay, this is time, please stop. Okay, I'd accept that one nicely. Thank you everyone. At this point, appreciate your time joining this call and see how we can improve. You can offline put the question. I have gone through the questions and looking into those. Most of the question at this point are basically future discussion. So I am keeping that one a little bit on the back burner, and we'll discuss about those parking lot definitely. But don't worry, it will be covered. You will understand through this process, many of the questions will be covered.
Thank you, Vishnu Vaina.
Thank you, Manas.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank you,
Thank you.
Krishna.
as I said, put your question offline in the parking lot, and we'll see how we can improve. I might come up with some slides out of those questions which will help, but we'll definitely discuss.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.